Being an introverted actor. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwall with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazingly talented, beautiful wife and best friend, Brooke. And now on to our topic. Being an introverted actor. Hot tip. I'm an introvert. Like, textbook introvert. There was a period of time in my life where I questioned whether I was an ambivert or an extroverted introvert, but then I read Quiet by Susan Cain, and it became abundantly clear that I am just a textbook introvert. Thank you, Susan. I feel seen. And wherever you are on that spectrum, I think it's enlightening to learn a little bit more about introverts. Chances are you are one or have a close friend or family member that is one. We're everywhere, lurking in the shadows. Because we hate interacting with people. But what's the point, Matt? Why am I bringing this up on a channel about acting? Well, I'm glad you asked. I want my introverted comrades to feel seen, and I want the rest of you to understand a little bit more what it's like to be one of us in this world of acting. So let's start with the cons of being an introverted actor. For me, the biggest one can be sort of summarized in the single word, networking. Oh, hate that word, as do most introverts. So industry functions, rap parties, or other hangouts of large groups of strangers is utterly painful as an introvert. Extroverts will never understand us fully. For example, I recently bailed on a friend and fellow actor's 40th birthday party. Brooke was out of town, and I was actually in the car on the way to the party when suddenly I was paralyzed by social anxiety and I turned around. That's sad, right? But pretty common for introverts. Sorry, Bethany. Now, this also makes being on set difficult. I try my darndest to be sociable and nice and outgoing. Hi, how's it going? Yeah, I'm just here for one day. But even when I'm proactive on set, I still usually end up just sitting in a cast chair in a corner by myself. And pair that with me being 6'2" and my resting face, and people tend to think that I'm mad or intimidating or just don't want to be there, all of which is untrue. It's exhausting trying to manage my introvertedness. Hi, how's it going? I'm not an introvert. I'm really outgoing, all while being ready at a moment's notice to make magic on set. And as a result of introverts trying to be extroverted in these high-stakes situations where you kind of need to be, at least come out of your shell somewhat, we need recovery. Sometimes it's just a couple hours after a big event. Sometimes it's days, especially if you were on set for several days, having to be around people for so much. I may need several days of introvert recovery, just like a big workout where you really tear those muscles down and they need days to recover back to the point where they don't feel sore anymore. Another metaphor is to think of a cup. Now, for an extrovert, that cup is full of social energy almost all the time. It's overflowing. They can't give enough of that energy away. For an introvert, that cup starts at half full, and when we pour out any of that in any social situation, well, then it's like searching for a water source to fill it back up. It takes time. And only once we've filled it back up do we have the capacity to give of that social energy once again. And the last downside to being an introvert, at least that I'll cover in this video, is that all extroverts seem to think there's always something wrong. Hey, Matt, you okay? You seem quiet. Yep, fine. Now, if people around you only kind of know you, you'll get that question a lot because they think something's wrong. Now, if people do know you, you'll still get that question a lot. But enough of the downside of being an introvert, Matt. What's the good side of being an introvert? Are there any pros? Yeah, actually there are. Introverts, on average, are better listeners than extroverts. That's not a slight against extroverts, it's just science. As an introvert, I'd much rather let you, the extrovert, suck up all the oxygen in the room while I stay quiet listening. The result as an actor is that I'm poised to be a better listener and even more observant in a scene. And arguably, the greatest task of an actor is to listen, observe, react. So we got that on lock, baby. What was that? And to piggyback on that, an introvert can read a room very fast because they're a good listener, which is an asset in this industry because every set you go on has a different energy. So even though you might feel like that uninvited guest to the party because everyone else seems to already know each other, the introvert can at least read the room very, very quickly and figure out how to adjust their own energy to match. What you don't want to be is that overly boisterous extrovert who shows up on set. Hey, people, who's having a good day? I've encountered many of those, and it's always awkward. Don't be that guy. And lastly, when you do have that rare chance to chat with an introvert, although we do generally suck at small talk, we will not be afraid to go deep on a topic. So you may find that you actually create deeper connections with an introvert when you're on set, if the conditions are right. So, extroverts, if you encounter an introvert in the wild, don't panic. First, remember there's usually nothing wrong with us, so please engage us at will. Just be prepared to drive the conversation at first. Otherwise, we'll encounter the dreaded awkward silence. And if you are an introvert, you are seen. You are in good company. I stand beside you. Although not too close, because then you'd have two introverts with no conversational skills, and then that gets super awkward. And one last note on me. I probably seem like I'm pretty extroverted if your only experience of me is this YouTube channel, or the classes that I teach, or coming to get taped for an audition. First of all, each one of those endeavors is extremely exhausting for me. Second, introverts have no problem coming out of their shell when the topic of conversation is something they're passionate about. So you put me on stage when I'm teaching a class and I will talk for hours. My students can vouch for that. So that can make spotting an introvert a little more difficult in the wild. Anywho, that is it for now. If you are an introvert and you feel seen, drop a comment below. It's a lot easier than a conversation, believe me. And if you're an extrovert, drop a comment below if you feel like you learned something. Otherwise, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set. But just, you talk first. Don't expect me to drive the conversation. I'm going to go.